We've been some Florence. The group had never been there.
Yeah, no, I think that might be good.
I've seen it.
There's no better.
To this meeting of the Broome County Industrial Development Agency of September 21st, 2022. And looking for a motion to approve the transcript of our August 17th board meeting.
Thanks, Lucy.
Thank you, Dan. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Peter. Any discussion, questions, comments? We've been through those. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Moving on to public comment. Anybody wishing to speak on any matter concerning the IDA, please state your name and address for the record.
Okay, I'm John Wolak from Binghamton, New York. Boscov's plate glass. Stacy informed us that it's October 6th. Well, it's been a month that boarded up building has been there. And that to me is 100% unacceptable. Fire call, came over the scanner. Fire department had to tell its responding people that was boarded up, that they couldn't get in or out of there. There's been exits removed. This is a tremendous potential liability, even if it's a threat to this agency, even if it's addressed today. This is absolutely unacceptable. This is good and bad landlords. You talk about the image of the community. It looks like a riot with that. So I don't know. Is there a shortage of plate glass? There may be. Is there a shortage of repair people? Well, how on earth could you leave this, jewel, this anchor building in this condition for this long, especially with the students coming in? You want to showcase the city? You got plywood up. So, I think some explanation should be made. And furthermore, if there's some sort of mass casualty event, you're endangering dozens of people's lives. You want to take that gamble? Would you take that gamble in any of the things that you're involved? I don't think so. So 3 days, 4 days, 5 days might be acceptable, but a month, it's not acceptable to me, and it shouldn't be acceptable to anybody else. And it's a danger to the public, to the employees. Okay, congratulations on your Oakdale Commons. I watch things, I keep it. A massage parlor has opened up at the Oakdale Mall, something that never happened before. An unlicensed massage parlor. Class E felony in New York to operate without a professional license. You're gonna have to prove prostitution, that's what it is. But they have a special there. They have and it's really they can just have temporary things up, and they have some beds there and some card table chairs, and they have a 10-minute massage for $12. So I mean, congratulations, because I see the high quality of business that are coming in to that Oakdale Commons project. It's tremendous. The purpose of this agency, and let me talk about the eyesore across the street from the high school. That the project has an interesting public record thing. In the last couple of years, it's gone back and forth with people. I I noticed that it doesn't name the structural engineer that signed off on the project. You know, I think it would be respectful, that, you know, this says that the building is structurally sound. Well, where's the report, you know? And is this really a small business, or is this just house flipping, real estate flipping? I mean, 2 people are involved, so that's a small business. But it was just formed 3 months ago. It was an LLC that was formed in June. That to me is not a small business. That's a speculator. You know, good luck to them, you know. But, you know, if someone has a 2-family, if someone has, and I asked this question, if someone has a 2-family, is that a small business in your mind? Would you be willing to put through a sales tax exemption if someone wanted to put a deck on, remodel one of the units that they don't live in? Would you be willing to do that? Again, I think some clarification is made, because is it 12 units that's the magic number? Is it a number of units? But I mean, you gotta understand something. This looks absurd to the general public. They go to the Home Depot, building supplies are at a record high, you know, and they gotta pay sales tax on everything from, you know, doorknobs to driveway seal. And to see people come in and get a $100,000 sales tax, you know,
30 seconds, John.
which is essentially instantaneous equity into the project.
Thank you, John. Welcome back, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Anyone else like to speak at this public comment session? We'll call this session to a close. Executive Director's Report. Stacy?
Yeah, just a few things to update the board on. I know in my report I noted a number of staff presentations. It's been a busy few months. More recently, I did hear of the news of the investment by Avello Airlines, providing service to Florida from Binghamton. Those flights start November 16th. Had the opportunity to meet with the director of marketing from Avello, who's been in town for the last few days, meeting with stakeholders in the community. I can tell you that at this point, the flights are booking well, and which is good news. That's without a significant marketing push at this point in time. The Fort Myers flight is booking very well, as the Orlando is doing well, but not as well comparatively. We are working with the airport not only to support in any ways that we can some marketing initiatives, but we'll be doing a lot of community engagement and meeting with companies to promote the service. As you know, these types of things, in order to scale to different and more varied service lines, we need to support the ones that are offering currently. So it's a good meeting. There's a lot of excitement about the flights in the community. In addition, they are already underway with plans for the $32 million in revitalization for the airport. So it's been an exciting time there. I'm going to turn the floor over to Amy Williamson in a moment, who's going to do a quarterly business development and marketing report. I did want to note one thing related to not so much our internal financial report, but in our investments. At the recommendation of the Audit and Finance Committee, we have had some funds set aside in our operational budget towards development, economic development sites in general. At the recommendation of the board, the committee, excuse me, we did take $1 million of those funds and purchased a 12-month treasury, which is yielding well now, about 3.5%. So we're doing what we can to earn some more money on those dollars. And lastly, I have a bittersweet announcement to make with regard to staffing. Teresa Ryan has informed me of her plans to retire officially at the end of this year. Teresa has been a vitally important part of this organization, serving as our director of finance and HR. So we will be looking in the months ahead at putting together a plan to replace her, which will be hard to do. But she's also committed, thankfully, to stay on in some role in Q1 of next year as we complete our Paris reporting and our audit. So very thankful, but wish her the best. And yeah, just wanted to make the board aware of that. So more to come. We're looking at putting Natalie and Teresa working on a posting for the position, and we'll make sure the board's apprised of our next steps on that.
There was the ARPA funds, wasn't it?
We right over the.
Maybe, maybe. So, with that,
No, it's the birthday coming.
Yeah, all right.
yeah, very much
Done very
so.
well.
So with that, I do want to just turn the floor over to Amy Williamson, who has a few slides to offer to update the board on some of our marketing and business development initiatives.
Absolutely. So regrettably, I had forgotten to print this and include it to the board, so I will send it out in an email to the board members following the meeting. But this is just, a quick overview of our Q2 marketing. For those who remember Q1 of this year, we started our marketing into the year a little bit late. We wanted to update some of our collateral as Rieger, the marketing firm that we work with, had indicated that our numbers were starting to drop off, and they suggested some, developments of new creative. And as you see, they are performing wonderfully. So jumping right in, just as a quick overview of Q2. Like I said, Rieger Marketing is the one who does all of our ad placement for us. And Q2 was the first full quarter of our new BRE LinkedIn campaign. I'll go into those details a little bit more, but if you remember from my previous report, we discussed how just once again, the LinkedIn results were going a little bit lower. And so we only had about a month and a half of data to show you last time. So now we have a full 3 months to show you how the campaign did. Broome is good. We are running organically with no paid dollars at this time. We're using that budgeting line to help with the Leadership Alliance marketing that we're doing with ABC Creative, which is in development. We'll hopefully have some more updates soon.
I know, by next month, yeah.
By next month. And then, of course, just keeping apprised of those organic assets, our social media following. We see increases across the board, except for Twitter. I guess one person didn't like what I had to say this past quarter. But the rest, has been an increase. I really do want to call out Broome is good, like I said, because at least the agency, we do have paid marketing, not necessarily on socials, but typically when we did do paid marketing through Broome is good, it would be through social media, and we're still gaining, an increase across all of our platforms, despite not having those dollars pumping into the program. So it's definitely a strong campaign for the county. Will make a great basis for the Leadership Alliance marketing going forward. So just a quick review. These are all of our assets from the BRE campaign that we had run. So these are our targeted digital display and our SEM campaign. Our targeted display is, maintaining a consistent performance of about double the industry standard, always coming in at about a 0.15, 0.16 click-through rate as compared to an industry standard of 0.08. And then our search engine marketing is really what I want to emphasize here. When we first launched our SEM campaign, it was already performing higher than, industry standard. Industry standard is 2%, so, it was starting at 358. But now looking at Q2, we had a record high of 14.93% through our click-through rate. So we're really getting people who are interested in, and these are the ads right here. They say invest in Broome County. So it's definitely more business development focus, and, attracting new investment into the area. So a little bit more breakdown of the numbers, the total impressions, the call-outs that I said before. I'm going to go into the LinkedIn a little bit more on the next page, but as you can see, LinkedIn campaign is performing above average, and, making high numbers of impressions. So this is what we had spoke about last month. So at the end of the previous year, we were at a 0.01 click-through rate on LinkedIn. You could see that nearly 300,000 folks were seeing our ads, but nobody was interested. This goes back to the issue that targeting advertising on LinkedIn, while it is one of our strongest platforms because of the work that we do, it is where we get a lot of our site selectors, a lot of our investors in the area. It is the same collection of folks, so they're going to be seeing the same thing over and over and over. It's not as broad an audience. So because of that, these were the first 2 months that we had of this as easy as pie kind of ad, trying to do something a little bit less traditional as our, black and white, marketing, which is definitely true to our brand. But, trends were showing that folks are kind of looking for something that's a little more kitschy, a little more creative. So as you can see, you know, it jumped right up in the beginning. It continued to go right up, and as soon as it started to go back out, down again, Riga reached out to us. So we already have our next campaign up and going now. We don't have any statistics for it yet, but just as a cute little sneak peek, you know, once again, trying to go with a more creative ad, something that gets people, you know, who doesn't love, you know, these little funny pictures of kids being all cute. So, you know, I'll have performance statistics on these the next time that I present. In addition, this is just our basic website data. As always, I can go in and pull some more information as requested, but you know, I really want to just call out for both the agency and Broome is Good. This is the first time that New York City is actually in our top locations. So we're reaching the market that we want to be. We're really getting downstate more and more. It's not necessarily a large number of folks, but you know, 5% of our web traffic is incredibly good, especially for the Broome is Good campaign. Like I mentioned, we're not putting any paid dollars behind it at this time. So for the agency, I pulled comparisons of Q2 from last year to this year, so you can see the growth between the 2 years. You know, a 20% growth in our page views and an over 50% growth in the number of users using our site, as well as the Leadership Alliance landing page, also consistently coming in as our top visited page, which is also very encouraging for the launch of our new Leadership Alliance website and marketing that's to come. Another thing I wanted to point out with Broome is Good, you know, last quarter, I don't know what the change was between last quarter and this quarter. We have been posting more of it organically, you know, really trying to make sure that we're making up for that loss and not having to paid advertising. And this is not comparing this year to last year. This is just comparing this quarter to last quarter. We have a nearly 60% increase in page views and an over 50% increase in users. And even just our homepage for Broome is Good has gone up 3,000 views in the lap between last quarter and this quarter. And again, that's just all from the organic traffic that we're creating. Just the one thing I wanted to touch on for community development for this report is just a highlight of the Economic Development 101 series. So we had under the board's requests and Stacy's request, staff had put together a series of quarterly, you know, 101 trainings for community members and development partners to kind of be able to understand a little bit more of what we do. I mean, I don't know if you ever have the experience of telling folks, I'm on the board of the agency, and them going, well, what's that, you know? And then in and of itself, economic development, as we all know, is a very tangled web. So we started off in the first quarter with tax-exempt bond financing with Harris Beach. You know, it was a smaller group, 12 registrants. It's typically harder to get folks for a lunch and learn, but we kind of retweaked our marketing a little bit, came up with these newer graphics. And so, you know, we doubled our attendance for our second quarter event, which was all about tax credits, so historic tax credits, new market tax credits, really anything you can think of with Kevin Grimes from the National Development Council. And then finally, next month, our very own Natalie will be presenting on the agency's 3 revolving loan programs, you know, trying to also incorporate, while we're bringing in community partners on this, to show that economic development is a collaborative effort, you know, really making sure that we're also effectively marketing our own programs and making sure that we're getting that information out there so people know that they're able to turn to us for whatever they need. And then finally, during December, myself and Brendan will be doing a you know, overall kind of presentation about all things the agency, kind of as that introductory presentation as a kickoff for the next set of quarterly presentations for the following year. So that's all that I really have for folks today. Like I said, I like to try and keep it short. I know that we've got a lot to get through today, but if there's any more social media statistics or website statistics that anyone is interested in seeing, also be sure to send out this report. But please do not hesitate to ask.
I just got one question.
Yeah.
So the primary way that I think that we measure success is by views or clicks. Am I correct? What about, is there any way to measure? I almost think it's even, that's a good way, but I think even a better way is it, how many people actually call us or request information? other words, taking it to the next level where they actually contact us. Is there any way of measuring that? I mean,
There is, so I don't have those numbers in front of me right now, but I can reach out to our website development team. They have it set up for each of any of the resources on our resource page. Individuals are required to enter their name, how they found us, their contact information, and I believe their company as well. So those are statistics that I'm able to pull, and I can bring those around.
yeah, because I think that's when they're actually starting to contact us. I think that's a real measure of success.
No,
because-
absolutely, I'll be sure to include. that
Okay,
next one.
thank you.
That's this one.
Any other questions, Jeremy? Thank you very much. Any questions on internal financial reports? Or on the loan activity reports? Moving onward to new business, if we can, a resolution accepting an application from BMP Properties LLC and authorizing a sales and use tax exemption in an amount not to exceed $53,040, consistent with the policies of the agency in connection with new construction of a steel garage and attached office building to be located at 618 New York State Route 7 in the town of Concord, Broome County, New York. States.
Yes, so BMP Properties LLC is owned by Brett Pritchard. Brett is on the line. Should the board have any questions for him directly? This is the first of two sales tax exemption or small business incentive program applications for the board to consider today. This project includes the new construction of steel garage and attached office building for the offices of Pritchard Property Development in the town of Conklin. Total cost on the project is roughly $1.25 million, of which the value of the sales tax benefits is $53,040.
Thanks, Stacy. Questions for Stacy? Mayor,
We move it forward as a motion to approve.
is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Peter. Any discussion? Let's have a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstention.
Thank you, Joe. Carried. Item number 7, a resolution accepting an application from 109 Oak Street LB4 Properties LLC and authorizing a sales and use tax exemption in an amount not to exceed $99,817.71, consistent with the policies of the agency in connection with the restoration and renovation of 109 Oak Street in the city of Binghamton, Broome County, New York. Steve?
Yes, so 109 Oak Street is owned by Ben Block. Ben was on with governance. I don't know if he is still there, but for the purposes of a question that came up for New York State with regard to the Office of Taxation and Finance, any units at 4 or above are considered commercial property in New York State. So this does qualify for the purposes of this request. 109 Oak Street is a property located across the street from Binghamton High School. It's actually a property that I know through many conversations with the city and the school district has been challenging, to say the least, as the mayor I'm sure can attest to. So seeing this turned over into hands for renovation project is, I think, going to be good news for the city and the school district as well. 109 Oak Street was a gorgeous building when it was built over 100 years ago. Property has largely sat vacant for almost a decade and needs significant repair. There are some pictures in your application of the prior, the original rendering and this current condition. The company has engaged Preservation Studios out of Buffalo, New York, to help restore the building back to its original charm as much as possible. The plan is to restore all of the original windows, wood floors, doors, and even moving original wood beams while modernizing it at the same time in accordance with all applicable state and city codes. Once complete, the building will be a premier market rate apartment. These are by the unit, not by the bed apartment. It's a distinction I wanted to make. And the plan is to provide 16 apartments. The total property cost is approximately $2.4 million. The value of the sales tax exemption as requested is $99,817.
Questions for Stacy? Mayor,
We move it forward as a motion to approve.
thank you, Mayor. Is there a second? Thank you, Jim. Any discussion? Let's have a vote. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Carried. Item number 8, resolution authorizing the agency to grant an amendment to the lease agreement by and between the agency, Boston Department Store LLC, the Binghamton Local Development Corporation, and the City of Binghamton, dated as of May 1st, 2013, for a modified term terminating April 30th, 2023, to include major replacements as set forth in Exhibit A attached here too.
Yes, so for consideration today of the extension, the 1 year, roughly 1 year extension of the lease agreement that we've held with Boscov's for their retail operations in the city of Binghamton. As you know, Boscov's has an option for the potential ultimate purchase of the facility that this board approved a few months back. The option and this lease agreement provides the necessary time for this Boscov's and the city of Binghamton, Broome County, and a number of other stakeholders, including New York State, to work together to put a strategy on coming up with the funds to do a wholesale renovation of the facility, which I think we all know it needs some significant repair to keep the store there and the duration. I do want to point out a clarification, something that will be the version of the agreement you have in your packet will be modified in its final form, and that's related to item number 2 under major replacements. Pursuant to section 4 of the lease, the major replacements are due and shall be performed by Boscov's, freight elevator replacement, and as well as a boiler replacement. Both of these are considered imminent repairs that must happen before, so that the store can remain open through the fall and winter months. However, both Joe and I conferred with the mayor, who is here, should the board have any questions. Thank you, Mayor, as well as Corporation Counsel. The IDA is not required to reimburse on that. That will be handled by the VLDC.
That was my question mark.
There you go. So, we did clarify that.
Checkbook away, Joe.
I did clarify that, and that will be, yes, the final version of this we will update that. So I think that is all, unless there's again specific questions. Mayor Cram is here for myself or the mayor or Jacob Stein, Jim Bosco.
We're Jim Bosco, hi.
Is on the phone or is on the line. So
Welcome.
any questions?
Any questions for Stacy or Mr. Bosco? Mayor,
We move it forward as a motion to approve.
is there a second? That Dan. Thank you, Dan. Any questions or comments beyond that point? Let's have a vote. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Can I just add, can I add my thanks? What you've done, it makes it possible for us to get over this first hurdle, because this is the first step in a major project, $15 million project. We're committing $5 million of it of our own. We want to be there. We want to stay there. And if you've shopped there, that the building clearly needs the kind of renovation that we're talking about. Anyway, I just want to thank you for making it possible.
Thank you. Thank you. Item number 9, resolution to approve the 2023 IDA operational budget.
Yes, so you have received a copy of the proposed budget in your packet. Just a highlight of some of the items. There's the proposed budget includes a conservative approach, again, based on realistic expectations for income. I will note there has been some significant economic uncertainty as we've seen projects slow. So in the projections here are what we think based on those projects that are in the pipeline, what we think will be realistic as far as our income projections in 2023. We did a few formatting changes in there. We've moved some of our recurring income more appropriately under IDA leaseback income. Those are the annual payments we'll continue to receive in 2023 through Canopy Growth Corporation, Spark JC, which is Oakdale Commons, and the Bluestone Wind Project. We have slightly reduced our income, projected income from 615,000 to 596,000 from projects leased through our pilot transactions. This amount includes the anticipated closing of Altura at Skyview Heights, and Joe and I are in conversations with that project. And Conifer Realty, which is the former IBM Country Club that will be ultimately redeveloped for affordable housing. As well, we've added just a few new income lines that we've received this income, but just didn't break them out as specifically. We have added this year, which is a new item for next year, excuse me, potential of 18,000 in income for lease of IDA land through Tarpon Towers. We have executed our lease with them. They will be going through the appropriate town approvals in the months ahead. The Small Business Incentive Program, this is income we receive through fees associated with this program. We've budgeted $10,000 in income from that program. Pilot administration fees, again, is income that was all underneath our leaseback item, but we pulled those out specifically. This is the annual compliance charge of $1,500 that all pilot recipients are required to pay annually, as I noted. And then we've also increased our income related to 5 South College Drive, our building. This was tenant income that will be increased by approximately $12,000 from Visions. Prior to when the building was originally constructed, they had to take on some more expense than planned. So they had received that benefit of rent free. They basically front ended the rent by covering some of the cost of the fit out. And then per the original lease agreements with those tenants, all tenants will see a 3% increase in their rent. That was baked into our first term leases with the Chamber of Commerce and the Alliance for Manufacturing and Technology. As far as administration expenses, those have been outlined they have been included in the compensation line. This includes a not to exceed amount of $15,000 requested for staff salary increases. However, with the exception of executive director, which I believe the personnel committee has made a recommendation to the board on that. And the benefit line assumes an 8% increase. I did want to note a question came up related in audit and finance related to the total amount of the percentage of benefit to the total compensation. Teresa and I looked at that. The average is about 38 to 40%. We are shy of that at about 36%. So we're just shy of that average standard of percentage of benefits to the compensation paid. Building expenses. This is one area we are spending a lot of time on just because, as we know, utility costs have increased significantly. Our utility costs in this year have jumped about almost 30%, about 28%. And non-budgeted repairs through this year have totaled about $11,800 roughly. So for this budget, we are proposing to add an additional expense line in the amount of $10,000 to be used for repair and replacement. The building is only 5 years old, but we've had a number of issues with some of our systems, maintenance, elevator, HVAC. As such, we are projecting a conservative net income of $83,618 in 2023. I just wanted to also note the capital expenditure line that is included in the packet. We put this line in from the sale proceeds of the sale of 265 Industrial Park Drive in 2022. We were initially recommending that 2.9, roughly 2.9 of that million of that money remain in the budget for the purposes of development sites. This would include expenditures related to our option for purchase on land in East Main and Airport Roads, acquisition and appraisals of additional acreage as deemed necessary by the board for development sites, and any other costs related to development sites in Broome. We did, as I noted earlier, however, we did move $1 million of that into a U.S. Treasury for our 12-year note, our 12-month note but we do want to keep those funds there to do our due diligence. I knew you would say that. I said, John's gonna tell me to put more in there. I know it.
Questions for Stacy relative to the proposed budget?
Just one with Teresa's announcement, do we have enough money in the wages line of the
Yeah.
budget?
Yeah.
To cover the transition?
We do, yeah, we do. We've accommodated, we always, we book some funds in for use of interns, so we have, I think it's about $10,000 to $12,000 additional that we can use to bring interns on as needed. So we'll compensate for that because we will want to keep her on board, I think sometimes per diem or part-time basis to train, our new, whoever becomes our new finance.
We got
staff
enough
member.
money, that's all.
Any other questions? Dan,
This came forward as a motion to approve.
is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Joe. Any discussion? We'll have a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I don't think anybody's gonna abstain from that. Looking for a motion to adjourn. I don't believe there's any other business to cover.
No.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Dan. Take care, Mayor. Thank you.